is. So go.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July meeting for the Wisconsin Woodworkers Guild. We're doing something different this morning, so we might have some glitches and hiccups, so bear with us. We hope to get better at it. Unfortunately, I have a feeling we might be doing this for a while. If you listen to the news, this is not going to end anytime soon. So we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to try to bring you up to date with what's going on as far as financing projects, things like that. We did get Greg Waldo to come in as a position for treasurer. I went over to the bank with him, got him all set up so he can do deposits. He can pay our bills as far as the internet, things like that. As of right now, if I remember right, we have $6,000.38 in the checking account. There has not been any activity other than the internet. And we pay that every month, and Greg will be up on that. We do have, well, July being the month for, we need an election committee. Elections will be coming up at the end of the year, and our bylaws say that in July we are required to start a committee or get somebody who would want to be a committee chairman. We need to see if anybody wants to apply for any of the positions. Right now we have the vice presidency is open because Greg moved into the treasury position. We have a program director because unfortunately Jay Pilling, due to health reasons, is going to resign. He's going to finish his term at the end of the year, and then he's going to pull out. So we are going to need somebody, or 2 or 3 people if possible, that can fill up that program position. We also need a sponsorship director. That's somebody that can go out and get some sponsors for our last page, because that does help us as far as buying tools for down here. We do have a couple more donations. I'll go over that in a minute. But if you are interested in any of that, you can contact any of the board members. Our email addresses are, of course, they're in the ripsaw. So contact anybody that you want if you're interested in applying for any of them, or if there's a couple of you that want to apply for them. Did somebody have any questions? Okay, maybe it was just a cough. We do have some donations. I'll show you real quick. This was donated anonymously. It is a 5-piece chisel set from Robert Sorby that we're going to put in the shop down here for us. We also have a orbital sander. Very nice. Oh, see this way better. That was donated anonymously, so that'll be in our shop. We have also got 2 ladies that were getting into pen turning, and one became ill, and so now what they've done, they've got an issue, or not an issue, they can't turn the pens anymore. So we ran into this lady at the Nye Woodworking Show when we did that in February, and they have donated, and I'm going to say somewhere very easily between $3,000 and $4,000 worth of pens, the kits, the blanks. And I'll give you an idea. This is nothing compared to what they have donated for us. We've got this. This is one of 3 different containers that they gave us. We have one of these containers that is completely full of kits. A question?
Okay.
These are some, bags of kits that they have given us.
Bring the transit along or not?
Somebody asking a question?
Okay, very good.
Okay. Like I say, we've got an unbelievable amount of them.
Okay, very good.
I would say if we have 20 different little parts boxes, they broke the kits down and put them into individual parts boxes. And those there's gotta be 20 boxes like that. And I was gonna ask if either Dave McBride or there's another gentleman I was told of that is into pens, if I could ask them if they could take a look at them. We think what we're gonna do is the container that is full of kits, we may turn around and attempt to get donations. I hate to use the word sell because we are 501c3. But we're thinking if we can either put them online or if members want them and for a donation, they can take them if they want to do pens. The ones in the kits, we would like to ask our members if they can't either turn a pen or maybe since we have a mini lathe down here, if we could possibly have them come in and maybe with an instructor turn a pen and then donate that to the group and in turn put those out on our website and see if we can't get donations for those pens so that we can increase money that we have to purchase more tools. We've got to look into it at this point to make sure that we can legally do it. We don't want to get in trouble. You know, we can't sell, but we can get donations. So in other words, it's going to be almost like you have on TV, like with the dog kennels. Send in a donation, they give you a t-shirt or they give you a blanket or they give you something. We kind of want to go on that same order.
Okay.
So that's where we are with that.
Ron, if we get some input, we can schedule workshops, make some pens, and just make a schedule of time that guys want to come in and do that.
Yes.
You have to coordinate all that as part of the shop.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, I'm constantly thinking.
Let me know if you're interested, basically.
Yeah. Well, if they're interested. I've been reading over old rip saws that Walt Hancock had given me. And I've gone over some of them, and they always had a fundraiser. And somehow that went by the wayside. So I'm trying to come up with ideas that we can get fundraisers. I mean, back, God, it's got to be 20, 25 years ago. This club had over 200 members, and they had over $20,000 in their checking account at one time. I mean, it was unbelievable what they had. And they had fundraisers. So we need to get back to the fundraisers. If members can help, I mean, it's just a plus for us, so that we can continue to develop the shop down here, so we can come down here and we can and work. I mean, we have no shops basically that the members have that are open that we can do, which, well, I'll get to the toys in a minute. Bay Madison contacted me last month. Bay Madison had a pallet full of lumber for us, another one. This one, though, had cutoffs that were a 1/2 inch thick, 1.5 inches wide, and I'm going to say approximately 7 to 8 feet in length. There was 2,750 feet roughly of lumber that they were willing to give us. The problem being is they wanted it out right away. They end up with these pallets full like every 1.5 to 2 months. We passed on that one, but we're working on getting the next one. And we've talked with the Milwaukee area wood turners to see if they wanted some. We don't want to fill this lower area full of wood. That's not the idea. And I mean, we don't want to have to haul all that wood down here. We're going to see, we're going to work with them. Zach said there is a senior center in either Racine or Kenosha that he thought might be interested. So if we can donate some of that to them, so they can do some segmenting goals or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Alex, could you mute everybody but us? We're getting feedback from somebody.
Yep, I'm on it.
Tell them how they can ask a question by hitting their space bar.
They can hit their space bar to ask a question, like to unmute themselves. Yeah, if you gotta, like, I'm gonna mute everybody. If you have a question, like, go into your Zoom and unmute yourself so you can ask it. Otherwise, I'm gonna mute everybody so we don't pick up all the background noise from people's homes.
Okay. So John over at Bay Madison, they're working on another skidful. We are going to need help getting it. We're going to go over basically, and if we can load up trucks, trailers, whatever we got, to load it up and get it out of there. We're going to try to coordinate a time with the Turners that I don't know if we're going to do it back in the alley here of Woodcraft, or what we're going to do, a parking lot or whatever, but the idea is not to bring it all down here so we can carry it back out. So I will keep you posted on that. As soon as John contacts me, I will get a notice out and we'll contact you. I mean, it is free for any member that wants it. So we'll go from there. Okay, Rich, you want to give us an idea where we are with the toy group? Or, I mean, as far as I know, not much is going on right
Really
now.
not a whole lot, quite honestly. I don't know how much we're gonna have. I'm gonna reach out to everybody this coming week and see where we are, what supplies we need, but I don't know much has been going on because everybody's been social distancing and trying to stay healthy.
Yep.
So.
Okay, if you didn't hear Rich, he's gonna reach out to see what people want to do with the social distancing and with the COVID-19. Nobody's been meeting. So I think it's going to be a slow year. I mean, I would hope we would have a Christmas party, but I'm doubtful at this point. I really can't see us meeting much before the end of the year. We may end up having to.
Ron?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
This is Dick Garvey. Are the women's shelters going to be receptive to taking some of the toys this year or not?
Well, we don't know yet. We're going to have to find out. I don't think that they are going to let anybody in. It would be one of those deals where we're going to do like with some of the shelters, you leave it outside, and then once we're gone, they come and pick it up. We will find out, though. We'll have an answer for you.
Okay.
And the same with Beats of Courage.
Okay.
Because of it being with the kids, I don't think they're going to want to see us this year, personally. We only have 3 or 4 boxes right now for them. So I'm going to contact that young lady over there and see. I was hoping to bring her in before the end of the year. She's got a 15 or 20 minute talk. She has a video, but we're going to have to see. Maybe if we can get her down here and we can, video her through a Zoom meeting, possibly. I don't know if she's going to want to get together with us because of the position she's in with the kids. She's there every day. And of course, we know you don't need to take anything back. Yes, that's what I'm thinking from here. But I'll send out an email to her. I'll ask her what she wants to do. We'll go from there. And the same with the toy groups. Maybe we send out an email and find out what they want to do or want us to do.
Oh, they wanted to do it. Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll find out. We still have a pile of wood down here that if anybody wants any for toys, you're welcome to it. Beats of Courage boxes, you're welcome to it. It would be nice to get the shop set up so if we need to plane it down, we can do that. We can cut it on the saw, even before you take it out of here. But
Hey, Ron,
yes.
one of the issues with the toys is not so much the face-to-face visiting, but cleaning the toys prior to giving it over to the shelters because of the fear of the toys being contaminated with COVID germs from whoever built it. So you need to think, the committee needs to think through, how do we tackle that? Do we isolate the toys for 7 days and then wrap them in plastic? There needs to be given some thought. But again, there's some, for example, my dentist office removed all toys from the dentist office. It's going to be an issue. So someone needs to address that for the shelters prior to us getting started.
Yes, and that's why we want to talk to them. We don't even know, they may say, no, not this year. We don't want to do anything like that because of it. I mean, and if that's the case, we may have an abundance of toys for next year. I have no idea.
I didn't clearly hear what his comments were.
He's talking about if we make the toys, are they going to want us to like put them in quarantine for a period of time, 7 days or more, to make sure that they aren't,
Jeez, I never thought of that.
let's just say, contagious.
Well, I'll reach out to the women's shelter and see if they have what their protocols are for accepting donations.
Right.
And you're right, they may just say no.
Yes. Did you hear that?
I'll find out.
Okay, Rich is going to find out to see exactly what they want to do. I mean, it's all based on what they want. So we will get an answer on that. We will find out. Like I say, worst thing is we'll have to store them down here until maybe next year. And then we'll have an abundance of toys next year that we can give them. We're also thinking, I don't know if Ron Peterson is on or not, but I talked to Ron Peterson about the possibility of taping that workshop with those oversized wristwatches. He'd like to do it at his shop, and if we can't go in there with some, with a camera or something and go through the steps. We wanted to do it originally down here, but there again with the COVID, it'd be safer if we could tape it. I think Ron is diabetic. He does not, he's limiting his experience with other people's, with other people. I know if I run into him, we usually sit outside at separate ends of his picnic table and talk. So I'm going to run that past him and find out if we can't do that as a workshop. We're looking into the possibility of getting more of these meetings. I know the Turners have had a couple successful ones. So we're going to find out. I want to talk with Jay Pilling, and we were talking about a speaker in August that we were going to bring in. I want to find out maybe if he can do a Zoom meeting for us from his shop studio. Excuse me. So that's where we are with that. We will keep you posted, probably in the form of emails. They may not be all, Zoom meetings. We will schedule it, let you know, and then hopefully more and more guys will tune in. So I think that is all I have for right now. Does anybody here have anything that they want to bring up? Okay. All right. Then I think what we'll do is let's start the show and tell. If you have something. Rich, why don't you bring up those masks since we are talking so much about COVID? Rich has some masks here that he's going to show you.
Okay, so myself, I've got a couple lung problems. Had it's called lobectomy, had a section pulled out, and then recently had another section pulled out. So my wife kind of insisted that I be a little more careful down in the basement, and just the regular masks are a little questionable. It's a little annoying that you put a mask on, you've got to put a shield on, hearing protection, everything else. So eventually at one of the trade shows a while back, I had seen one combination of everything. So it's put out by Trend. It's called their Air Shield Pro. What it does is it provides an extremely high HEPA filter capability with the internal masks here. And then there's a small air pump in it. So it's self-contained that forces the air through the system. There's other ones I've seen that have all of the filtration sitting on the back, a hose goes up and that, but that seemed a little difficult that if you're moving around, it's sitting in the back, it limits your movement of your head. This one was a little more expensive, but it provided everything. One of the options is the hearing protection. So if you, usually if you're working on something, the motors start up, you want to protect your hearing a little bit. So all you're doing is you put the system on, bring the filter down, and you've got a pause. I don't know if can everyone hear me? So you get a positive airflow through the system. The bottom mask has a couple perforations, and if you put your hand below it, you can actually feel the air coming out of it. I've worked with the regular dust and everything, and absolutely does not get in, but I've actually gotten into solvents, working with cedar, very high aromatics, and smelled absolutely nothing. Working away at it for a couple hours, took the helmet off, and the room was just filled with the scent of the cedar. So it was rather shocking and rather definitely telling that the device was working well. The system runs off of a battery, internal battery, relatively small, rechargeable, and runs about 8 hours on one battery. Obviously, as it gets a little older, it doesn't have the runtime. I've had this thing probably about 6 years. I finally had to replace the batteries. The batteries, they do charge $70 for, but online again, I saw that you can replace the battery. Bought 3 new lithium-ion batteries, unsoldered the connection. There is a thermal sensor in it for overprotection of heat, and that cost me a total of $16. That seemed a little more reasonable, and as they start going dead, I'll just keep replacing them. One of the other things that masks that they sell here over at Woodcraft, with COVID, surprisingly, I had these masks sitting at home. You replace the filter for about $3. It lasts about, they say, 60 hours. So if you were running 8-hour days, you've got a week and a half of one filter. They have exhaust vents on it. The filtration, the N95 filters are 95% filtration. These are not certified, but they've been tested to about 99% filtration capability. Putting one on is very simple. And one of the other things I've noticed is people are able to hear your voice a lot easier with a filter on.
Are they washable?
The outside is, the inside is, they've got 3 filters. Carbon activated, that wouldn't work. They have a high flow, and then a carbon activated high flow. Price goes up a little bit on each one. So the filters are not, themselves are not washable. The outside absolutely is. One of the other nice things with the outside being almost a filter in itself, any large particulates that would normally clog up your initial filter, if you're working in the shop, get covered on here, and so that you can wash off and you're saving the filter a little bit. And anything on it is replaceable, down to the breather valves. You can actually customize them. They say you can change the color. I'm not quite that vain. But as my whole family, I've eventually bought them for the COVID time. And also, anytime I'm going somewhere, it's usually one of the workers like Woodcraft or Home Depot, Menards and that, stop me and ask me where I got them. Because everyone's realizing we're going to be in this for quite a while. They're getting rather tired of having the little loops over the ear. It gets painful at times, and these people are wearing these things for 8 hours a day.
What's the cost?
Cost of one of these is about $35, and they have 2 versions. One is the M2, which is this one with the quick release, the Velcro on the back. The M2.5 has 2 straps, and that one would be, I think, a little better for someone who is wearing it 8 hours a day, because it has a tendency of pulling it up and then pulling it back. Whereas this one, after about 2-3 hours, you start fidgeting. It's pressing on the nose quite a bit, but it's extremely quick to get off. So for someone driving around, someone just using it for the COVID purpose, this one's much easier. If you're working, the other version is a little bit better for long-term usage. Both of them are about $35, $38. Filter packs, I just bought another set for $35 for a dozen of them. so it gets cheaper.
That ain't bad.
No, that's not bad.
What about the helmet?
The helmet is pricey. Helmet's about $400. Like I said, the battery's about $70. Probably about, I don't know exactly the filters. They might have been $35. The filter so far, I haven't changed. It's just the fine dust. So it's still working fine. I probably will. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Not really. There's a little bit of yellowing. So it's starting to get a little clogged up. Probably in a year or two, I'll have to get another one. But a little heavy on the head, but I much prefer this to having the backpack and the hose. It would be a lot more limiting, especially if you start bringing your head down and you put the hose on too short.
Sure. Okay.
I do have one other thing. Since I was kind of stuck out of the hospital, my family saw I was getting a little stir crazy, cabin fever. And they knew I do woodworking. So what they bought me is one of these puzzle boxes from U-Gear. It's laser cut plywood, probably 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch thick. Absolutely amazing. This one, it's normally a white plywood, probably Baltic birch. I didn't like the color. My wife wanted something a little brighter, so I bought the trans tint. And I used alcohol because I didn't want the wood swelling. There are no nails in here. There are no glues in it. While I was bedridden, basically, it gave me something to do. And so a little puzzle of it. You've got different sections, a massive amount of gears. I think this one was about 200 pieces. As you oh, I know what it did. So you have to know the trick of opening it, and it opens up into a puzzle box. So beyond keeping me busy, my wife now has a present that she can put her jewelry in, if she knows how to open it. But they're about $35 to $40 for one box, and was about 2-3 days for me. But I was stuck for about so I was working about 6 hours a day. But once I was done, I felt oh, I made something, and it was fun. Also, whenever someone comes over, they love to look at it, and they have got a whole range of different things, from trains, bicycles, clocks, amazing laser cut woodworking.
Okay, if we can get the name of that, maybe we can put a link on.
Yeah, U-Gears, they also bought this one here at Woodcraft.
Oh,
We got a whole bunch upstairs.
well,
Yeah.
they do. Okay.
It's a lot of fun, and it makes a great present.
Make a stop on the way out.
You can even buy them at American Scientific.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. Amazon, everyone's got them. But I think it's a Czech company or a Ukrainian company. So they've got a lot of free time now too. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Jerry, did you wanna go or?
You go.
Oh. I was working on that. This is the lever for the back of our giant plane.
Oh.
And I'll take this thing apart. I wanted to put these grooves in here, although I got to be honest with you, I'm really not happy with these. And I think I found out, the reason why. I set this dowel up so that I drill a hole in the center of this, and then it wouldn't move. So I made the jig that when it goes on here, gets in there, this goes on the top, I can clamp it down. This was set up to go over my router machine, so then I could turn it every time. And I marked these out. Jerry said to me there's 120 of them in there. So I I divided this thing up, best I could to try to get them even. And I marked a line on every one of them so I could see them down here. And I put a V groove in my router table, and I just kept cutting it and turning it as it would go. The problem that I ran into, the jig worked fine, other than the fact that I don't think I should have made this out of oak. This is all made out of cut off red oak pieces that I had laying around. And I don't like to throw anything away. So I thought, well, this will be ideal and it would look kind of nice. The oak was so hard that when I put this thing in here and put this clamp on here, tighten them down, the very first one that I pushed through, it grabbed that thing and it turned it. And I thought, well, that's not going to work very well. We can't have that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to put it on. Put it on there and I'll hold it. Well, that didn't work either, because even though I held it as tight as what I could, it still wanted to move on me. So they're not all perfect in there. But it's after that, I started clamping it from here with 2 clamps on each side. That stopped it from moving. I do think if I would have made this out of poplar or a softer wood, I think as I put it on there and tightened it all down, it would have worked so much easier. Also, with this thing being, this is loose in there, I'm holding this, but this could still move on the, inside the jig. So I'm thinking of, if I'd have made it out of softer wood, if I'd have clamped it in the beginning, I asked Jerry if he wanted me to make it over again, and we thought, we're going to be bringing that out like maybe once a year to the woodworking shows, something like that. I wasn't going to go through all of that labor to redo it again, but I learned a lot. And that was the nice thing about it, was everything that I learned, the mistakes that I made, even building this thing, some of the things I put inserts in here. I was going to go and buy, handles. I watched, a couple of videos, and I thought, I'm never going to use this again. This is going to be it, basically, for this. If I do, I'm going to be surprised. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to make a couple handles. And I made a few of them for future projects. Because, these things can go, $3 to $5 for a simple thing. And to put it on here, and there it sits. After a while, I didn't want to put that investment into it, seeing that I may never use them again. I can take them off, I can use them on another one, but I wasn't, now I'm not concerned about it at all. So I'm going to take this, we're going to put it back on the plane. It's going to be one more thing that we can do, but I at least wanted to let you know some of the problems that I had, some of the issues. And that's it. Anybody got any questions? Okay. Oh, yes, Gordon.
Yeah. Wouldn't you put like sandpaper on that inside face?
Yeah.
Or the wheel put it in?
Yeah, I probably could have. That would have helped to put sandpaper on that. I did put, I glued a little bit in here, but I wasn't even thinking of this being screwed on there and doing it. You can see here that from the turning, it did leave a mark on there. I was concerned in the beginning of taking the finish off, and then I thought, hey, just put another coat of finish on. It's not a big thing. But yes, you're right. I could have put sandpaper on there, didn't even think about it. Anyone else?
The wing nuts that you made, is that just like a hex bolt and then hammered into?
Well, yeah, it's actually a carriage bolt.
Okay.
And I cut a groove in the top with a hacksaw. That's a finishing nail that sets in there. And then I just set them up, and I made some epoxy and poured it on and let it sit for a couple days. Excuse me. There's a website that, with all the time off that I've had, called I Simply Built It. And it's a German fella. And he's got to be an engineer or some doggone thing, because some of the stuff that he comes up with. and he has a jig that he made that you can turn either 3 pigs on it, 4 or 5. And I watched it after I made these because you can see they're not perfect. As usual, I was in a hurry and I drilled one in the wrong spot. So, but there again, I'm not going to use them every day. You know, this is going to be the jig. They're probably just going to sit on there, and that's it. Any other questions? All right, Jerry.
I was going to bring a couple of items today, but I didn't get them finished in time. So I'll have to see the actual thing some other meeting that we have. But one of them is I'm building from Woodsmith Plans a router lift, and everybody really raves about it that's ever built it, so it looks pretty good. It's really heavy duty. It's got a lot of big stuff in it. The thread here that runs it up and down is a 3/4 16 braided rod, and that's what you turn to bring it the router up and down. Some of the problems I had, I was even going to just bring the pieces in, but I got it. I actually have everything made and started to assemble it, but what I'm trying to do is, if I can find the picture here. This picture right down here, they want you to assemble the bottom part here so they can locate where the top hole has to be for that.
It's all white.
Yeah.
Oh,
They may
all
not be
right.
able to see it.
Okay, they must, it's the lighting. Turn off the
Yeah.
lights. Turn off the lights.
You want that set there?
Yes. No. Can you reach out?
Mike, grab that one over there, please.
Just a second. The lights are in our way here. This is one of the things we got to figure out what to do.
There you go. There you go. A little better.
Can you see it now? All right. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
much better than what it was.
All right, very good. Thank you. This is a big issue we have down here with when we start using the cameras is the lighting. We're going to have to try to work on that. For the turning club, we were going to bring in some LED 4-footers, put them up here with diffusers and see if that'll diffuse the light when it's not shining right on this end. We'll see how that'll work. Okay? But this picture right down in here, they want you to assemble part of it like that so you can locate the hole in the top piece that holds the router. Well, these nuts that are on here are 3/4 16 lock nuts. And you thread that on that pipe, that rod, steel rod. I have a heck of a time getting those apart. I worked for 45 minutes to try to get that one nut off, and it's still not off. I got 1/4 of an inch to go, and it will not move. And I think it's taken some of the plastic, that's the lock part of that nut, and it's got it screwed into the thread somehow. And that's really binding it up. So I was going to have Ron come over and use his muscles, because mine are gone. So,
They're all afternoon.
Right. But that was one thing I was working on that I was going to bring in and couldn't do it. Another project I was going to bring in was a cabinet that I'm working on. It's a freestanding cabinet for a friend of mine. And the only thing I've got assembled so far, I've got most of the pieces cut, but I don't have, the only thing assembled is the back panel. So there wasn't much to show. The other thing I brought in was, you probably saw pictures that Tom posted 2 months ago, I think, on this ship that I'm working on. You see that already? This is a 1750s ship called the Chubbuck, and it's used in the Mediterranean. Originally, it was used as a merchant ship for transporting goods through the Mediterranean. But the pirates saw that it was a nice, sleek, fast ship, so they started building them and put guns on it. That's what these are. These are all gun ports. So this is all scratch built, and it came from a set of plans. the plans. Five issues of Poplar Mechanics Magazine, 1958.
Oh my God.
Right? And I started building this thing about 40 years ago. And I got it to this state probably about 35 years ago. And I haven't touched it since. We went into COVID and I started to look at it again. And I still haven't gotten very far. But you can see that I've got some of the original pieces out of the magazines. And it's just little sections like that, but it's across 5 different issues. And it's a solid hull. They're like 1/4-inch strips of wood where you cut out the hull shape, you stack it up, and you carve it. Right? And then this is individual pieces of wood. It's on the top and around it. That. This is all gold in the back of it painted, but that was done with diesel. It's like a liquid clay. It's like a liquid clay, right? And I just brushed it all on, and I brushed it on to build it up into different layers. And if I wanted more detail, then I went with a little carving tool, German type carving tool, and carved it out. Same thing on the sides here, and hand painted it. So far, I think it's turning out pretty nice. I'm going over the detail more than what's in the plans is the problem that I usually have. I get too detailed in these things. And then I run into a problem and I just stop working on it for a while. I'll show you how small some of the stuff is here. Here's one of the lifeboats. Right? We started, that's all hand built. Okay. I had to make cannons. I don't know if we're going to. Here we go. It's going to be hard to see them here, I think. Can you tilt the camera on my hand? Tip the whole thing. Tip the whole thing like that. There you go. See that little cannon there? All right. Those are turned. I turned those on my small lathe. Right? Not on a big Powermatic, but a smaller lathe. Okay. Here's some what they call little blunder busters. Those are all hand turned. Here's the trucks that the cannons get on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of wood in that truck right there. And the little cannon. It's up there like that. Okay. And I've got 24 of those, about 20 of these. Okay. Yeah. There's a little cleat that you
Amazing.
wrap stuff on, right? Okay. Here's a little plane that I use for some of the stuff. Here's a tiller that's carved. Down. There we go, tiller that's carved. Okay. The rudder. Okay. Where I'm stuck at right now is I'm trying to actually put all of the rope rigging on the cannons. Right? Now that becomes very detailed. Here's a drawing of the cannon. You got rope coming here from the bolt works on the sides here, from there out to each side of the cannon. Then you got a bigger rope that comes all the way around it like this. And you got another rope comes back here. Right? And those all have double blocks. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double blocks that are on there, or pulleys, all right, that all have to be rigged. All right. Now, if I can see it in the dark here, now I see it, I can't pick it up. I'm going to see it in my hand here. Can you see that little? that little thing right there, that is a single block, right? And I got to put a line around one side of it down, right? And then a line through the hole and out. Right? So there's a lot of threading going on there with those little bitty things.
Jerry, is that rope like the size of a piece of thread, or?
The rope is thread.
Oh, it is thread.
Here's the thread. I measure thread down to the thousandths of an inch. Because if you want to get scale thread as you're building it to the actual rope size, you may be down to 9 thousandths diameter thread, 6 thousandths thread, like that. Right? What I'm trying to do is as you wind the rope around the outside of the pulley and down, then it's reeved around the outside to hold the two pieces of rope together. Right? Well, if I try to do that, then it's even harder. So I was looking online, and the guy, what he does is he takes a piece of wire sticking out of his, let's say a vise, okay, at the diameter of the hole that he wants. Right? Then he takes his thread and he wraps it around there, real tight. Then he puts super glue on it. Right? And that's what I got right here now. Okay, this little thing here. All right. And then he cuts these off into little pieces. And that's what you have to put the two ends of that rope to. Around the block, through there, and then a drop of glue on it. Right? And that's what makes that reading look like on there. All right? So I've started to make a bunch of those. Right? And different diameters for the different threads that I need. That was on a different ship. Okay. This is from a different ship, but I'll show this to you anyway. This is a real thin strip of wood. Okay. And you can see the little notches in it. Right? That was done on my little table saw. I have big tools and little tools. My table saw takes a 4-inch diameter blade, and the top of it is only about this big, maybe a foot square. For cutting these little things. Right? These notches were put in just like you would a finger joint, right? Where you cut a piece of wood with a little key in it, and you step it over and cut, step it over and cut. Right? So I made a whole bunch of these like this, because when you put them all together, you stack them up slightly next to each other, and then you lay someone across this way, like this, and you keep interlocking them, you actually make a grate that goes on the top of the ship so water can go through when it gets on the deck. All right. And that's a lot of fun. Cutting is not that bad. Putting them all together is what the trick is. Yes.
Tiny little bits of colors.
Now this one's got all these grates. These are grates on here. Right? But I didn't do this that way. This is just a piece of window screen, real fine copper window screen is what I did there.
You want some? Copper?
No.
Okay. What he's not telling you is now Jerry is the president of AA.
This is the jig that I use for making the string I just showed you with that. This I throw them all in here and they get all tangled up. These things here, I noticed how to do it around the wire. Right? This is the jig I use. This goes into my clamp. This is just a piece of plastic on here. I line the string on there, right? And then I kind of hold my finger here and push it together so it's tight next to each other, super glue it. And then I come back with this little tool here and put it behind it like this and levers it and push it off the wire. Okay?
How do you keep the super glue from not sticking to the wire?
It does, but you just put a little bit on there, but that's what that lever's for, to break it loose.
Okay.
Some of that I even put wax on the wire
Yeah.
to help it break it loose.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're not going to be able to see, but these are some of those. Let's tilt it down a little bit. I don't know if you can see that or not, but those are some of the little strings that it was on, and that wire that was, you saw that was probably a 1/4 inch long. I started cutting them up into little bitty pieces. Okay. And that's what's actually on the block that you have to run 2 pieces of thread through and then glue it. Okay. And then you have to have, I think I just lost that one. Can't get my fingers down in here. There we go.
We have to donate a pair of tweezers.
Yeah. I got, oh, you can see the tweezers I got. I just didn't bring any. Okay. This is an eye hook or an eye, like a screw eye.
Yeah.
All right. Then made out of a piece of wire. Okay. And what I do is I take a piece of wire, wrap it around another wire, right, that's held in the vise. Right? The diameter of the center hole I want is the diameter of the wire coming out of the vise. Right? And then I take in those wire cutters, right, I'm going to clip the one off and then straighten this up, and that's my hook eye. You guys probably can't see them in here, but there's a whole bunch of them down in here on the ship, and I got to put about, for each gun over here, I have to put 4 in the walls for each gun. Okay.
Say I have to leave this meeting by 11, so I enjoyed watching it, and hopefully I'll be on the next one.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Okay. And one of the other things that you need is, I can't separate these. These are little rings, okay, that has to go into that hook eye. Little rings that have to go on the hook eye. So they're about the diameter is that circle at the end of the hook eye, right? Okay. How I make those, again, you take a piece of wire sticking out of your vise. It's the diameter of the hole, center hole you want. You take your wire, and you just start wrapping that wire around it like that. Now it looks like a spring, right? You pull it apart a little ways, you take your clippers again, and you start clipping them off. When you clip it off, you got that little ring, like almost looks like a split washer.
Okay.
All right? And then you just close it back up again. All right?
Good Lord.
And I can't get one out of here. But when you've done that, now you have to actually make a hook to go into that ring that your rope is tied to. All right? So now I make the hooks very similar to the hook eyes, except I bend one end of it into a hook there. You can understand why I stopped where I did.
Yeah, because that's like taking 40 years.
So this container is full of all those little pieces like that I've been working on.
Jesus, don't be shaking it around.
All right, I think that's it. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. What a great project.
Do you have a completion date on this?
I'm sorry,
Do you have a completion date on this?
before I die?
Well, a big party for
It
lunch.
was 140.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the major voyage. Anybody else?
So how many oars are on there?
Oh, yeah, it does have oars too. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that part yet. The oars are actually mounted on the sides here, and some on top of the boat over here. Yeah, but I haven't even looked at those yet. But you're right, there are oars on there too. It's going to be hard to see, but right down, yeah, right down in here. Okay, see that little black dot? There's a whole bunch of them across there. Those are called scuppers. Scuppers let water also come off the deck because the decks are cambered like this. There's all holes all around the deck like that. And the water gets in there and goes out those scuppers. Right? And that's just a little black dot we put on there. Right? It's also kind of hard to, I don't think you'll be able to see them. But when I didn't lay the deck on most of my other ships, I laid the deck like actual plank sizes and actually drill a hole and stick a little peg in it. And that's called a tree nail. And those can be anywhere from 10 to 12 thousandths diameter that I make by pulling through a die. I take veneer and cut it into little strips, and then I start pulling it through this whole die, different diameters to get it down to what I want. And that's what I do for relaxation, believe it or not.
Oh, jeez. I don't get that wound up, but I have to do something.
But this one, because it's a solid hull, I didn't do that. What it did do is I went through with a really fine magic marker, very, 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 very fine tip, and I just put little dots everywhere I wanted those tree nails to be, and all over the deck. See what I mean by I get carried away?
I do. Oh, I've never thought that.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, if I can find it. Wait a minute, if I can find it. Here it is. Here it is. Right in here, this corner, right here. It's a little carved monkey. Yeah, if I get up there. That's a monkey carved, squatting down with his hands up. I got to make another one like that yet. I was a lot younger when I did this one.
I guess.
All right, that's it now. I digress. I got some of my hook ties down here.
Oh, God.
Oh, I don't know if you guys ever seen this or not. This is some ladies use are threading needles, right? They poke it through with the wire, pull it back through because they can't get the thread through the needle. This is too big to do on some of my things. Jeez. I actually have to put super glue on the end of the thread to stiffen it. Right? And get as much super glue off as I can, and then go through the hole with it. And the worst part about it is I'm allergic to super glue. So, I don't know if I'd say I'm allergic, but every time I take a whiff of it, I get congested, and my lungs are just full of this crap, and it gets head congestion for 3 or 4 days.
Sounds like an allergy to me.
Yeah, you need one of Richard's masks, sir.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Big magnifying glass.
I bought one of those masks with the big filters on the sides, the big rubber things.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on super glue.
It's through.
It either comes through or it goes through my eyes. I'm not sure which. Just
Oh.
the fumes.
Sure.
Okay, again.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Is there going to be a meeting in August?
We will let you know if there's going to be a meeting. I'm going to talk with Jay Pilling and find out if that speaker that we were thinking of bringing in has a Zoom type of meeting. And if that's the case, yes, there will be. I'm thinking we may probably try to have meetings through the end of the year to try to make up a little bit. But we will see. Maybe even more than one, or maybe throw a workshop or something in there along with the meetings. So I will let you know, the more that we had our first board meeting here 2 weeks ago in a long time. So we'll check with the board and find out what we can do to try to get out, reach, and touch you guys. So this is the first meeting that we had like this, and we hope there, get more people that'll log on and have questions, and we'll see what's. Biggest thing is notify us through emails now, because we're not talking at the end of the meetings or during break or anything like that. So talk to the board members. If you questions, comments, whatever you have, let us know, and we'll, do the best that we can. So I want to thank Jerry and Alex. Thank you very much, Alex, for hooking us up here. You made it easy on my part. So thank you, sir. And Jerry, thank you. And unless anybody else has anything, I think we're adjourned.
I ask people how they like the Zoom and if they want to continue with it.
Yeah, comments on whether or not you liked it. Let us know. It's I think in our survey we had 1 out of about 36 that didn't like it or didn't want to go to Zoom. But let us know, because it's what you guys want to see, and it's what we want to put out for you. So get back to us. Just drop any one of us a note. Let us know how you liked it. If something you want to see, something we didn't do that you wanted us to do, and we'll go from there. All right?
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, guys.